Right, I'm just sat up in the pit, down where I live. Basically, I'm still drying my fucking stuff, and my stuff's just about dry. Lucky it was fucking sunny this morning, otherwise it would have been fucking. I'd have had to wash the whole fucking lot again, because it would have fucking got that horrible fucking stench on it from fucking undried washing. That is just one of the worst fucking smells ever. But yeah, so it's not very fucking. My seat's got washing on it, and it's not very sunny down there, and it's still a little bit damp. It stays damp down where I am, a lot more than up here anyway. Up here is dry enough for me to sit on the grass. Yeah. Now I want to get to what was in that post that I wrote. So basically, what they've done is they have basically now brought in loads of laws that make doing anything towards a shop, anyone who works in a shop, a serious criminal offence, and they're claiming that they serve the public. How do billionaires making billions of pounds by selling products at overinflated prices, employing staff on piss poor fucking wages, that keeps them in a state of fucking dependency, serve the public? They've stolen all the land. Now every single field on this islands are controlled by the supermarkets and the companies that they claim supply the supermarkets, but they're all their farms, our farms. They even use the word our farms, because they were given the monopoly. So basically they were given total control of everything by the councils, because the councils operate for the monarchy. So if you walk into the council offices, you'll see a picture of the fucking Queen, because the monarch is the ruler. Now this is a fictional tale for Netflix that I'm hoping to get up, called the Exampla, about El Capytain, the son of the creator, in a fictional world called Anglia. Now, everything is done through council fucking level. So basically, everything is done on council level. So that means that to build anything, you have to buy land, which has to be sanctioned by the council with planning permission to be able to buy that land. And it's the councils that dictate, pick and choose which pieces of land they want to build on as and when they want to build on, because basically they own all the land and farmers are just leaseholders or it's a rental agreement. So the farmers, because of the supermarket, or anyway, the farms have always been owned by the monarchy and are all owned by the monarchy still. Now, this land here and Barton Springs, although comes under National Trust, the National Trust look after it for royalty. That was owned by, Barton Springs is owned by royalty. It was on the court documents that were delivered to my tent, that it was owned by royalty. So it's owned by royalty. This is owned by royalty. Every spot of land is owned by royalty. They are also the ones who own these companies. See, what people don't see, shareholding is a way of hiding who owns the companies, and they own a number of different companies under different things, and then they own it under different wings of corporations, as a way of also hiding who actually owns all the businesses on earth. Now, for the illusion of the slave, they just have a different logo. I've already been over this. They just have different logos, different things, do things slightly differently for the illusion to the slave that they get a choice in matters. Now, basically, most people's choice is affordability and what they want to cut and scrimp on in order to gain or do other stuff. So, but ultimately, you are governed by affordability and wealth. So, ultimately, if you go to work, you need to pay the rent. You're born in a time where you've got no chance of obtaining a property. Years ago, young families were given council houses as a way of having a property that they could afford to do that. But what the government in what the monarchy and their government and their legislation and their councils did was award all those houses that were built, allegedly being built for the population of this country, to immigrants from around the world. So there is no council places. So now children are born into worlds where they've got no option realistically of ever being able to live somewhere, save up, and get a deposit to put onto a house. Even rental now is up to fucking, you need, fuck me, what was it? 2 months deposit now. I think it was 1.5 months. It might have gone up to fucking 2 now, and a month thing. So some places, and their charges, it costs nearly £3,000 now, up for a fairly cheap property just to fucking rent. And then you have to go to all the fucking hassle because they will try to nick that fucking deposits and shit off of you with any old bullshit that they can, because they're lying, scheming fucking cunts in the rental market, the letting agents as well. Now, yeah, what they've done is basically, I'm waffling off topic there. Basically, what they've done is, with the supermarkets and all of this, the supermarkets basically have now stolen the entire food supply and the food market. They crushed every little business that there was, bar now all you have are mainly immigrant run convenience stores, what they call convenience stores, where years ago, you had butchers, you had the greengrocers, you had the fucking haberdashery shops, you had all these different things. But the supermarkets stole the monopoly of everything. They even shut down electronics they've shut down everything because they have literally just taken over the market, which is what they call communism. It's basically, the communism is a very small amount of the population that own everything while the rest have nothing, under the disguise of democracy, because they claim that communist places you don't get a vote on who's in charge. But in a democracy, allegedly you do, because you get a vote where it's private, so that the vote is open to being rigged. How can it be private? If you had everybody's vote towards their name, then it is open and honest, and then you could have people saying, well, no, I didn't do that and I didn't do that. Basically, you tick a box in a private fucking thing. They reckon that they have pillars of the community that count up those fucking things and are honest, and that and then all you're doing is voting for a face of a party that does nothing to what they claim that they were going to fucking do. And then a couple of years they changed the leader, then that's it now. You don't get a vote on the leader change, so they can change a leader mid-term. So, and what you're voting for, one person doesn't organise what they claim is organised, and then they just goes down, so they blame that minister's to blame for that, and all they do is they've lost their job, and they get rewarded hundreds of thousands of pounds for them losing their jobs. They get sacked and gain hundreds of thousands of pounds in compensation payouts, and then normally just end up in a job that was even more lucrative than being a face on someone who spoke a few words on a news thing, or their face is used in a paper with a load of bollocks underneath claiming that they did it, and then any mistake, they just, they're gone now. Yep, a normal minion makes a mistake in life that doesn't cost anyone anything, they're punished by the law and can have their life destroyed over very minor things in comparison to what allegedly the people that allegedly run the asylum are meant to do on blunders and mistakes. Their mistakes cost lives, lots of them, and ruin lives, yet none of them are held accountable and go to prison. You get a couple of fucking silly little celebrities they put in prison for a couple of very minor offences, you know what I mean? And then they're given stardom afterwards, put all over the TV. You know, Jeffrey Archer made loads of money from being imprisoned. Lord Brockett was another one. He was given a massive TV deal after fucking being sent to prison for fraud. So they're rewarded with massive lumps of wealth after they've been fucking banged up. Again, you know, it's gunk. But anyway, what these supermarkets have done is ban people now from even being able, because a lot of people that work in what they would call aggressive behaviour and assaults will come down to you getting the hump with someone, being rude to you and trying to dictate to you. Now, because at the minute they've relaxed all these fucking loads of bollocks regarding fucking things, people think it's going away, while at the same time you have a whole new load of fucking bullshit shitnivorousness coming. You know what I mean? At the same time, there's also a war going on now, and the prices of everything has gone up. Now, war has happened allegedly to the history books on what everyone has been educated throughout the history of time. And again, like I've pointed out, why would you... Gas wasn't marketed to the population of Britain until we were engaged in what they called the Cold War, where Russia were threatening to allegedly cause nuclear Armageddon. Ooh, Armageddon, man. Nuclear Armageddon around the fucking world, threatening to blow up America, threatening to blow up Britain, and that we needed all these fucking defences in place and these fucking Star Wars defence systems to protect us from the baddies that we'd given fucking weapons to, apparently. Now, so that's going on now. Yet their mates in where the Antarctic Treaty is concerned, their mates on space stations. Oh yeah, you were going to blow us up that year, but now we're going to build a space station with you. And it's just like gunk. We're mates there. We'll give you billions of pounds in revenue of fucking... we want your gas, instead of using our own stuff that we had here. And again, they've given apparently the rulers of this asylum have given all our resources of this land to foreign investors. Yet the history of time tells you that wars take place, and that, you know, it would be a threat to your thing. Again, how can wars take place when the entire land is able to grow food on in this country, and you would only need a fraction of it to grow that food to feed the population of this country? Yet, so if that took place where everyone was able to source their own food from the land, how they were designed to live, wars in other countries could cause no problems to your land. If you didn't buy resources from people, you used your own resources instead of massacring everything and turning it to farmland to sell products that are harmful to the population and that product to around the world, while again claiming that that process, that act is harming the environment. But again, big business doesn't get blamed for harming the environment. They charge the population to stop harming the environment. So now you have to pay for bags to go to, because apparently, because they take a few pictures of carrier bags wrapped around a fucking seal or some penguin or some shit, some bird. Oh look, we need to stop this terror. You know what I mean? When who sanctioned the things? It's not the population's fault that they can't get their food and need to go to supermarkets. That was done by the rulers and the owners of this asylum. Anyway, those laws that have been brought into place are for future events, because they're planning to put a real strain and push on the food supply, because it is the dependency that they prey on, and that is how slavery has always worked. Now, what they did in this land is that they stole all the land and made it the property of the monarchy. So basically, the monarchy they claimed to be the direct descendants of God, and it was their God-given right to take all of the land and all of its subjects, meaning everything that is on the land. So you are a subject of the land. So they took everyone on this land as slaves. Anyone who said they didn't believe in God was executed by being tied by the church, which were the authorities of the monarchy. So no different from the police force. The church were the police force. They were the Gestapo. They were there to root out any dissidents, what they would be called, in the communities, and execute them and blame them for devil worship and witchcraft, which is history, which is what was taught. So again, if we're going to use history, I'll use it. Again, what happened, but what can't be argued are that there are churches in every town, village of this entire land. That can't be argued. That the land has been massacred. That's unarguable. I've more or less proved that every tiny bit of land that wasn't massacred in between the fields is still now the forest. Giant trees, thousands of years old, the plant life, it's all the same. So it was the church that oversaw the massacre of this entire land to now be for the purpose of eventually the supermarket, because it's just further down the line in the plan of destruction and total slavery of the earth and the evolution of the slave. Now, at the minute, they're just putting a squeeze on prices, but the squeeze on prices affects the poor. Now, most people are poor, but some people think that they are rich because they have a small bit of money in the bank, yet they still have to go to work. They may have a nice house, a bigger house, a few cars, can go on holiday, but ultimately, without them continuing to work for the rest of their lives, some may get to retire for a few years of your life at the end, if you're lucky to get to that age, and then most people that retire end up dying very quickly after that because they're not busy enough. Most weren't busy enough in their lives, so they don't even get to that age anyway to enjoy it. After the war, the illusion was set: if you go to work, you buy a house, you get to retirement age, you'll be looked after forever. But since that took place after the war, it's just got harder and harder and harder, and the youth that are being born today have very little chance of owning property, have little chance of gaining proper jobs, because now nearly every job is run by an agency, and have no stability whatsoever, struggle to be able to get the deposits, the people to go guarantor for rental properties, because of the price of rent is so sky high, and it only takes very small amounts for it to infringe onto people's lives, so that it causes them problems, so that they start to go behind in everything, and then they end up in debt. Once you're in debt, you're a total slave to life, because you have to pay the creditors, you have to pay them, you got nothing. You basically go to work to ensure that billionaires continue to make billions of pounds, which is what the police are employed by, and they are there to enforce that. They're not there to stop them ripping you off. They're there to make sure that you pay them their money, and if you don't, their bailiffs will come round who are protected by the police. So it is the police that enforce that the bailiffs are able to come and steal all your property. Anyway, at the minute it's just that, but they're planning on making the push on everyone's living a lot harder than what it is now. And again, what people call currency. So it's just an illusion for a slave, a piece of paper. So back in when I started work in 95, the price of everything was half of what it is today. So by the time I was 18, 19, I'm earning 500-600 quid a week. Now, you could buy double what you could buy now. So £1,000 now is the equivalent in money to what you got back then. So it's worth half the amount that it was that many years ago. Now, I've earned over £1 million since I started work. £1 million, very simply worked out, is £50,000 a year over 20 years is £1 million. Yeah? That's £1 million. So I've been working for 26 years. Is it 26? No, it's over 27 fucking years. Just saying that makes me feel sick. Anyway, 27 years. Now, for 20 of those, I earned between fucking 36 and 52 grand a year. Most of it was around 40, and then you bring you, obviously, then you got your, but basically that was the gross shit. I won a court case, I got 20 grand. I've had fucking, and I fucking sold my house and made 70 grand on that. So that's nearly 100 grand in that alone. So it's well over £1 million on with the 20 years. Over the last 7 years now, I'm not paying tax. I work, even if I get a job, I only work 3 months or work up to the limit and then I claim it all back. So I'm not going to pay the people that fucking think they're going to who are targeting my life any money to do that, because that's just fucking dumb, innit? Why would I pay them to target me? I'm not going to. Anyway, who've been targeting me in my life, I'm not going to fucking pay them, am I? Because they could go, fuck you. But anyway, so that's over £1 million, and I was classed as what would be a middle to high earner in the general population. Now, I've got fuck all. That's a lot. The majority of that just paid for a roof over my head. And again, that £1 million was worth fucking £2 million, realistically, to the way inflation is going at the minute. Yet the children won't be able to earn £2 million to get anything. I've seen the wages go down, not up. My wages have gone down because they killed the good subcontractor and have fucked it on the building sites. But anyway, what they're doing at the minute is putting laws in places in these fucking supermarkets and shit to ensure that laws are in place for when things get a lot worse. Now, again, what they will call an act of aggression is just you saying stuff. So when this first took hold, I had 3 items of something in a basket, and a fucking woman came over to me, or someone said, "You're not allowed that." I said, I've not got a fucking a fucking trolley. I'm a vegetarian. You've got hardly anything in your fucking shop. I'm buying 3 items of food for a vegetarian because your thing is based on meat products. I don't eat a lot. I've got a basket. I'm not hardly filling up a fucking trolley, am I? I've got a basket. So I walked up to customer services. I says, well, I've got a basket. I'm not doing nothing. It's pretty obvious that they're the rules. I said, listen, I'm a vegetarian. Are you not catering for vegetarians? That's my, it's not a lifestyle choice. That's what I weren't designed to eat meat, and the science backs that up now. So why aren't you catering? You see a bit of light. She went, if you carry on, I'll get the police here. And she just said it like that. And I said, I'm not even being rude to you. I haven't even raised my voice. Am I not even allowed to talk to you? Because this is the attitude of the fucking staff in all the shops. I walked into the fucking co-op up in fucking Farley Hill. I says to the fucking staff, I says, are you getting deliveries? And this was at the beginning of all this bullshit. I said, are you getting deliveries? And they all just stand there like that. And they won't answer you because they're just cunts. Because they've been told they're not allowed to answer questions to the members of the public. And what they've done is turn the entire world into fucking little tramps that only care about money and their little existence and what they can get because they're little tramps. Because that's what a tramp is. A tramp is someone who only cares about money. Like a little tramp. Or their genitals and behaves like a little fucking tramp. Some only care about both those things. Vast majority of the population only care about those two things because they're fucking little tramps. Because they've been made into fucking little tramps. That's what a tramp is. Someone who only cares about currency and think that currency is all that matters on earth. A lot of those little tramps think they're going to get to fucking somewhere better as well. But again, I'm just trying to highlight how bad it all is, because the seriousness of the situation is the seriousness of the fucking situation. I can't get through to that many. Well, there's only one way it's going to work for a lot of wacko mental patients. And these laws are coming into place to try for them to stop events that will take place in the future, where there'll be large impacts put onto the population, and it'll be the poor that they're planning on rising up and causing disruption on the streets, so that they can then whack in more restrictions on people, the little mental patient mongos that are a little bit better off, who've always obeyed the fucking rules in life, done nothing but ever obey the rules, like little obedient little fucking cunt mutts that don't see any wrong in the world, think the world is a fucking great place. The problems of the world are very easy to solve, but not when you live in a mental asylum governed by fucking mental patients, and a media mind-controlled population that all they can do is walk around repeating what they see on the flashy fucking screens. And are totally obedient to their bosses in their quest for their currency, because they've been turned into little tramps that only their life matters. So they don't give a fuck about people and people with little bits of power. So what you get are little Hitlers in cunt shops that think that they can dictate to you because they've been told to dictate. So their power trip starts, and then they start doing that. What goes around comes around. I have to match the power trip what people have. Yeah? Because I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to be nice and get the message out nicely, which I keep trying to fucking say to people. But the problem in this world is that mental patients take niceness for fucking weakness. And the world is full of revolting, disgusting human beings that the second they've got a little bit of power, like work in a shop, think that they can be rude and things like that. You know what I mean? And the majority of people that I've had problems with in shops have been women that think they're really fucking big and have power. Now, I just want to point this out. No woman really has power over a man. There may be a few tough women about, but ultimately a strong man will deal with a strong woman in no matter time whatsoever. So women have no power over men at all, physically like that. But what they've done is given, again, backed up by the police, because everybody, the world operates unnatural to the laws of nature, which the laws of nature dictate that the strong rule, not the strong by weapons, not the strong by unfair advantage, but the strong rule as in their own physical strength and their own abilities. And that was how the laws of nature and everything was designed to work. At the minute, what you have are the weak that behave disgustingly, having power over the strong, which are the population and the poor. Now, everyone, unless you are super rich and you never ever have to think about or worry about money again, you are poor. Regardless of what you think you own, because you own nothing, and within an instant every single bit of wealth could be taken away from you. You're just not aware of that right now because you're fucking wacko. The majority of the population can never see any wrong or harm come into their life because of the bubbles they've been kept in loopy la la land of Christmas and gayness and fucked up weird rave. Let's go to the rave, because you're just living in loopy la la land, and never think that a big bad world of danger or threats to your life is ever going to come in your direction, because you're being protected by the rulers, because you're too thick to realise that it's the rulers that are responsible for everything on earth, and they just all work together for the manipulation of the population to ensure that the population stays under the control of the top. Now see, the manipulation of the human being to the ultimate slave is what they want. There's a lot of things that have to go into place for that to take place. You have to build the infrastructure. You have to build, you have to get a slave to love freedom for that to work. To love their slavery, and call it freedom for that to work. So you have to go through many processes to get to the final eventual slave, ultimate slave, which is a human being with machinery added to it that can only do what it's commanded to do. And can be commanded by buttons in a computer somewhere, and that is what they've got the technology to do, and that is what people like Elon Musk is doing in the fictional world of Anglia, putting implants in the brains of pigs. They tell you they inventing these things to cure one obscure illness, like with all the illnesses and stuff that they claim that they've cured, yet that there's more stuff that kills the population than anything, and they never have cures for that, only fictional things that normally involve them pumping solutions into your body that can't be reversed. And they even tell people that we put the viruses in you, we just give you a little bit of the viruses, like herpes and things like this. How that comes out in the rash, I don't know, but that infection is given to the population. I'm more or less fucking certain of it, because they put a bit of that in the vaccines. I was talking to my boy the other day. He said I had measles, mumps, and he goes, I didn't have rubella because you don't get that, but I had measles and mumps. But I was vaccinated against them. I said I had all of them as well. I had everything as well as a kid. But they were separate ones then. But you still got all the conditions, and then they say, oh yeah, it wasn't a hospitalisation condition. We protect you against the hospitalisation, not we're giving you conditions that live inside your body forever and can weaken your immune system to cause you to become ill and sick your whole life, along with a million different other avenues, because they can't do it one, because then it would be too easy to prove. So it goes into everything that you eat with the chemicals, the preservatives, the fucking emulsifiers. There's a million different things, but if you look at all the packaging, they use the same products now, and nearly every item of food is using exactly the same fucking products. And again, it's all to benefit the business that the police work for. So when people die, they don't investigate anything other than what they're told to do. They're not there to look after the public in any way, shape or form, and nor does the governments or the monarchy. On no country on earth is this is happening everywhere. What they do is they create loyal servants, but that's not looking after. They just create loyal servants, like obedient little mutts, because an obedient mutt taken out of its natural environment will start to protect its owners and love its owner. No different from a dog does love its owner, because it's all it's ever known, and is confused and fucked up and thinks that the owner is looking after them, and it helps them slightly in staying alive. You know, but charging you to stay alive isn't really helping you, is it? No. When there's no need for currency whatsoever, what do you need currency for? What do you need currency for? There's more land than you could possibly imagine. It's just you're not allowed on that land. It's very easy to grow food to feed the population of this land. Even now, with masses and masses of immigrants here, like millions, like 20, 30, maybe 40 million, over half the population. Are the indigenous now becoming the minority? That is a question that needs to be answered, because at 20 million, I think it was, or 19 million, and the offspring, and there's many, many generations, and those numbers are lies. You know, certainly in Luton, the what you see in the towns, you know, the evidence is starting to tell you that the indigenous are the minority. Or are the indigenous not going to the high streets because now they get Amazon and get things delivered? Are they avoiding where they should go because now they no longer feel that this place is their home? Because these are all things that you know, these people were meant to be representing the British public, when everything that they do goes against anything that the British public ever wanted or benefited from. Everything that they have done, like selling the resources, so foreign companies allegedly rise prices all that. Oh, there's nothing we can do about that. We just ensure that you pay them. We don't insure anything else. We just ensure that you pay them while they keep rising the prices up, because we're here to represent them, not you. We're just here to ensure that you pay them for those services that we sold to foreign investors. Like, they've given this country away, and you know, how can you now, because, and they claim to be British because they were born here. But again, if you go round the world, you know, in Zimbabwe, in South Africa, where they're claiming that the land was ancestral and stolen land when it was bought legitimately, their offspring. Their offspring. They weren't evil people, they're farmers. Just farmers. The majority were farmers that were sold a piece of land and set up a thing, allegedly for their own government, and yet they did use the indigenous as workers. But you have people over here, foreign immigrants, and foreign owners of every business now, dictating what happens to the population of this land. You know, and making laws, immigrants making laws about immigration to this land. How the fuck can that happen? By people that claim to be looking after the population of this land, that were meant to represent the people of this land, allegedly, that they voted for so that they could look after them. So why do you need immigration? And they claim it's for jobs. But who do the jobs benefit? They don't benefit the population. They benefit the owners of the asylum and the owners of those businesses around the world. And the more people that live in the country, the price of the housing goes up, because it's then a seller's market, because the population is outweighing the number of homes there are. So the price can go up because there's a shortage of housing. And there's an abundance of workers, so the wages can go down and stay low. So how the fuck is that going to benefit the people of this land? It doesn't. Because that's gunk for fucking little babies. All that does is give more power to the companies to threaten everyone with their jobs, because there's an abundance of workers, and they can keep your salaries and your perks of those jobs down and take them away and say, well, if you don't like it, there's the door, because they know that there would be someone else in that job within a second, because there's more people, too many people for the jobs, too many people for the houses. And they know that as soon as you lose your job, you're fucked, because then within a fucking month or so, you could start going behind, unless you're someone who doesn't live a life. You don't have any fun. Your entire life has been about you obtaining a home. Like, what sort of a world is that, where you're born into a world where your whole life is about having somewhere to live, when there is billions and billions and billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of square meters of land that is being unused only for farmland. And the towns and the cities are for foreigners that weren't designed to live on this land and shouldn't really be here, because they weren't designed to live on this land. How is that done by people that represented the people of this country? It's not. That's done by foreign invaders to this country, which are the worldwide monarchy, which are starting in Europe, America, Australia and New Zealand are being flooded with immigration, Canada, and all around the world is. So it's not only here. So on a couple of jobs, I've worked with a few Lithuanian geezers, and they've said they went back over to where they were, and because everyone has left Lithuania to go to other countries to try to get currency, they've shipped Vietnamese into Lithuania to work in the factories and the shit like that. So that because the wages were so shit for the Lithuanian has left to go to get better wages. But those shit wages are better to the Vietnamese than their even shitter wages. So there's a merry-go-round going on all around the world. But this is what the rulers call Britain, in the world called Anglia. This is been done here first, and this is what will be going around the world. A total mixing of the entire fucking population. Now, this is not a race thing, and anyone who tries to label me anything to do with race is wrong. I'm simply pointing out what's taken place and the divisions in the population that have been done via the media. There is no white rule, black rule, fucking anything. Regardless of it is the rulers of every country and the wealthy that rip off the poor in all of those places, and that is made up of every type of skin tone. And that is the end of it. And they've turned everybody against everybody, and everybody is a target. Every one of the minions. It's got nothing to do with skin tone. Now, this land was created and was, up until the Second World War, a white British country. Now it is not. That's a fact. That can't be argued. So any stories about we can't talk about things from the past. We're here to talk about the present, because the present is when everybody lives. But for some reason in this country, I'm educated about slavery of black people in America. In my education. So why am I educated about that and not about the slavery that what took place in this land? Because it was slavery everywhere, because everybody is a slave now, and if you don't understand that, you're a fucking wacko. Because of pictures of fucking cartoon pictures of fucking people with fucking chains around their necks. That's a crap way for slavery, and that's not how you control populations. And as I've pointed out, you would need many more slaves than the slaves captured to make the chains to put around their necks, to mine all the metal, melt it down and turn it into chains. So slaves would have had to make that. And slaves are the population of the entire world. How is slavery over? It's not. It's never been over. The world is run on slavery, and you're only taught about slavery and as freedom. When you're taught about, again, in this country, it's because people don't see what's being taught. You're taught that, ultimately, that, all the castles and everything around had torture chambers. The monarchy had torture chambers, and the church had torture chambers. The monarchy is still in power. The monarchy hasn't been defeated around the world. It's still the same people in power. Religion and skin tone are just for slaves to divide populations, which is divide and rule. But anyway, in this country, you're taught about slavery in America. But not about how the slaves were captured and sold by Africans and Arabs. So who's to blame for that? The people that were selling the slaves, or the people who brought the slaves? Even if there is truth to that. It's the people that captured and sold and created the market. Yet, the majority of people with the darkest skin tone blame white people for slavery. White Europeans. And they will claim, like when they're talking to you, they don't blame the rulers, they blame white people in general. Your ancestors. This is statements I've heard your ancestors. My ancestors. My ancestors were fucking slaves, you cunt. How did fucking my ancestors, when this country was invaded and conquered? They're not my ancestors who did that, even if there is any truth to that. In this country, theft was punished by hanging. So if you stole anything, what they did was make all the animals, the Queen's animals, swans, deer, things like this were made. They were the property of the lords of the land. So anyone trying to obtain food for themselves was executed for theft. To force them to go down the mines, to mine for fucking stone, steel, cut down the forest, dig the railways, dig the fucking canals, dig the fucking, build what is London. And you get immigrants to this fucking country claiming that they built this fucking country. How the fuck did you build this fucking country? You weren't even here. You just came and were given it. Now that's a fact. That's what took place. That is what took place in recent history, and the population in this fucking land here today, you can verify that. Now, I'm not against any of those individual people for fucking coming here, because they're slaves. I don't blame any individual person for the actions of the rulers. But those individual fucking mental patients need to understand the situation and the reality of the fucking situation and what took place around the world. And get out of your fucking mentally ill heads what you think is reality. And that's to every fucking type of skin tone. Because white people don't think they're slaves. Or have ever been slaves for some reason. When that's all you've ever been. That's the entire history of the world, is the history of slavery. That started with the religion of Abraham. Which is every religion on earth, but it's religion of Abraham in one form or another. The worldwide monarchy. And yeah, slaves. So that's what everybody is. But in this country, you were forced down the mines to work the mines where people died every fucking day. It was dangerous to go down the fucking mines. That's why you have to starve everyone to force them down the fucking mines. You know, the story of fucking Guy Fawkes was that the population were being starved by the monarchy, so he decided to blow up the Houses of Parliament. But failed, so they burnt him, and they made the population celebrate the burning of someone who tried to get the population food. Yet these cheeky fucking little cunt immigrants think they can come over to this fucking land and call you white privileged, when allegedly all they did was cut sugar and pick cotton. Weren't executed on, you know what I mean? Apparently they've been lashed. They got lashed. And this shit, while we were executed for theft. For saying you didn't believe in God. You know? Yet they blame white people. White people went round the world and converted people to fucking Christianity. Did they? Did they? Tiny little island like that did the whole world, did they? I don't think so. I don't think so. But regardless, this country was Celtic. This land was Celtic and then was converted, which was tribal, living off the land. So why am I taught about Africans being taken slavery and shipped around the world from their tribal existence when we were tribal in this country? So why are we taught about other people who were then allowed to come to this country, how mean this government was and kings were to them, when the people of this land suffered much worse oppression, starvation and slavery than they did? Picking cotton is the easiest job on earth, bar testing beds for a living. So they can show people the most ridiculous easy fucking job on earth and make out that that was the harshest fucking treatment of any people on earth, just with the use of the media, even though they tell you the same media at the same time, but just don't teach that as slavery. again, if you watch again, if films are real life, again, because all the films on black slavery apparently are real life. Yeah, if you watch all the films from past things, you'll see that the French did exactly the same. They starved the populations. The populations of Europe were starved and fed scraps, were executed, public hangings, beheadings, and burnings. Yet because you're not taught that that was slavery, and you're taught about fucking cotton pickers in fucking America, people don't see the two. And people seem to think that the exchange of a piece of paper means that you're now free, or that's no longer slavery, it's a job instead of a duty. Because you think you've got a choice, when most people's job isn't their choice. It's something they need to do just to obtain currency, to be able to obtain the basics in life, meaning food, after they've left home. Some didn't even get it at home. Quite a lot of people I know didn't get a lot of food at home. You know? So how, you know what I mean? That's the power of the fucking media. Has on the fucking mentally ill population and installing beliefs that people fight each other and even kill each other over bullshit. Now we're on this land. I'm basically talking to the people on this land, which is made up of every different fucking skin tone. Here. We're all one family. Human being. That's my view on it. End of. I'm not here to commit any acts of anything against human beings of any type of fucking skin tone. Human beings that work properly are of benefit to the earth. Human beings that don't aren't. And human beings that believe in bullshit don't work properly. And that's the fucking end of it. And I've been around it my whole life, and I know the programming. The program is so in deep in some people. It's their religion whinging about bollocks and crap while being a foreigner on someone else's fucking soil. Now, in the video that got banned, I made it very clear that I'm showing good fucking custom, good Celtic custom, which means that mi casa su casa, which means that my home is your home, and you're more than welcome to live out the end of your days here if that's what you choose to do, but ultimately you need to fight for that fucking place. Because there are only two fucking options, and it's with or against. I don't care about anything. Or anyone. Any type of skin tone. I don't care about anything other than first and foremost dealing with the problem that is at hand. But I will point out to everyone, because I need to point it out, that this isn't anyone's land who wasn't designed to live here. But I will show good Anglican custom and welcome you into my home as long as you have fought to live on this land. I can't be any fairer than that. I can't be any fucking nicer than that. It's got nothing to do with fucking skin tone as far as I'm concerned. A human being is a fucking human being. Not because your hair is slightly different, your nose is different, or your skin tone is fucking different. Yeah, you're more hairier, they're less hairier. You've got a different, you know what I mean? I couldn't give a fuck about any of that. A human being is a human being. But human beings that want to talk about bullshit from the fucking past have no place in the present or going forward in the future. That's to everyone. So regardless of what happened on this land and whether people were designed to be here, not be here, whatever, they're here now and they will be welcome to stay here and live out the rest of their days. But first we've got to deal with a problem at hand. I'm pro everyone. So I'm pro white, I'm pro black, I'm pro Indian, Pakistani, Arab, whatever, wherever you're from, I'm pro them places. What I'm not pro on, and this was what was banned in that video, is the mixing. I have to get this out. The mixing of two different types of people has to stop in birthing. Sex between two different types of people is healthy and natural. It's just a way of two different types of people showing fucking friendship and fucking between male and females and two different types of people from around the world. It's not that big of a fucking deal. Welcome to our home. Show custom. You know, and friendship and bonding. That's how human beings do it. That's how most animals do it. But different groupings were designed and are meant to stay that way. And what they're doing is mixing the gene pools up. And the gene pool in this country, because the white gene is less dominant than the immigrant genes. So mating between a white person and an immigrant normally ends up being a diluted immigrant. That's the only way to put it. It's not a different white person. It's a diluted immigrant to a degree, if that's the sensible way to put it. So a half black, half white person is a lighter black person most of the time. There are exceptions, but they're mainly just a lighter black person. A white person and an Indian person or a Pakistani is normally a lighter Pakistani or Indian. Even an Italian and things like that, it's still the dominant genes, especially with things like blue hair, blonde hair and things like that. It eradicates those things. And that's what's taken place on these islands, whole scale, and they were planning on doing it around the world. So it's not a race thing. It's a way of keeping things the way the creator designed to keep them. But no one's going to be excluded, or it's just one family. But you know, well, I have to point it out. I'm an honest person. I'm not here to fucking lie to people. I can praise everyone and tell them whatever they want to fucking hear. I don't care whether you want to fucking hear it or fucking don't want to hear it. They're the facts. You know what I mean? The world is being mixed up. The world is being mixed up and fucked up on every fucking level. But right now, there's situations at hand that need fucking dealing with, and we all need to fucking come together to fucking deal with them. But I won't tolerate any sort of bullshit about anything to do with the past, because the past can be brought up and done. But anyway, what I'm getting to is that the populations of this country, which is the worldwide monarchy, which it means that every person that then travels to every different country then becomes the property of that country. Forget citizenship. Forget all that bullshit, because the second they commit an act of crime, then you'll be detained in that country. And the Foreign Office, unless you're a little rich fucker and you know the right people, you ain't getting out of shit. Yeah? Now, yeah, so basically the fucking, so they've moved everyone around, but they're still the property. You're still the property of the monarchy, whether you were born here, came here from another country, regardless of your passport, while your foot is on foreign soil, they can detain you and do what the fuck they want with you, meaning you are the property of the monarchy regardless of whatever country on earth you choose to go into. Every single country on earth is part of the United Nations. The United Nations was formed after the Second World War to ensure there would be no more wars, but apparently, well, since that's happened, there's been more war on earth since the Second World War than according to any other time on earth. The war has been going on ever since, just in different countries under different names. You know, the war didn't stop. They just claimed that the war was over while still going into countries, into Vietnam, into Borneo, into fucking South America, on the war on drugs, the war on this, the war on everything. You know, there's just different names. It's just the taking down of the populations and the fucking of the populations for the worldwide monarchy to get to this stage where we're at now. And yeah, so it's everyone in, or go fuck yourselves. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to I don't discriminate against anyone regarding their skin tone. That means that people with the indigenous skin tone to this land get no favour. It does not give them any up on anyone else, because they're wackos. Only human beings that want to work correctly and are going in the right direction, spastics not in fucking denial, will be okay. Everyone else is an enemy. And that's the fucking end of it. But I do have to outline it to people that I won't tolerate bullshit out of anyone's fucking mouth regarding anything in my direction. And if it can't get down to a stage where there's going to be people around me to ensure that that doesn't take place, because ultimately, if I can't deal with everything, because I will just go all out, that's it. I will make an example out of every single fucking person. I don't engage in anything other than full scale end of matters, death matches. So I need people around to police, to make sure that people will not ever come in my direction, to ensure that they behave themselves. And I need them in every type of fucking community for that to be able to work. You know, so it's up for people to understand what's being fucking said. Because, again, I'm making jokes out of things, but you know what I mean? You live in a fucking world where people think that they can walk around talking about being black all the time. Yet, the second you start mentioning the word white, they become offended by that and claim you're racist. Do you know what I mean? While they are a foreign invader to someone at your land, claiming that you owe them. Your ancestors did this and your ancestors did that, while claiming that everything in the media is also bullshit and that there's this big conspiracy to cover up the black gods and everything was built by black people and black people were the master race. It's nearly black supremacy what's going around on the internet. Yeah. So it's not to do with skin tone, but people in this country are contaminated with mental illness viciously regarding their skin tone, and that their skin tone only matters, they're different from everybody else, and that they're owed by the people of this land for some reason, when the people of this land were treated much worse, and all you've been done is being given. You know what I mean? What would you rather be, a coal miner or a cotton picker? If you look at the pictures of the coal miners and the pictures of the cotton pickers are fat, meaning they're very well fed. You can't be fat, or unfed slave and be fat. That's physically impossible. While the coal miners are stick thin, wearing ripped clothes, they're all well clothed. So understand the bullshit what's taken place. Either accept it or you fucking don't. But no one will lay claim to my land. No piece of paper, no document, no nothing. This land was nobody's to sell, so all of that is illegitimate. Anyway, and I will evict. I will evict. It will get to a stage. Maybe. Who knows? I plan for it to get to a stage. To get there. But at the same time, I just plan to be an assassin. One-man band. Because I only trust myself. I only trust myself, really. Because that's all I can trust. And I can only look after me, ultimately. I can help mental patients get better, and if they're better up to a certain level of understanding, I can help them help themselves, look after themselves. My aim is to get people to look after themselves, not for me to look after anybody. So if I can't get people to be able to look after themselves, I'm not going to be able to do a lot for a lot of people. And it'll mean that I'm ultimately only here to learn how to be the ultimate assassin. I'm comfortable with all. The ultimate assassin is very easy. It's a lot easier than trying to sort the shithole world out. The ultimate assassin only has to worry about his fucking self. That's easy in life, to worry about yourself. But I am told that I should aim big. But again, is big just me learning about myself? Who knows? I don't know. I don't know. I don't claim to know. Claim to know stuff, but not know the outcome. Just the direction that I want it to go. The world is coming in around everyone's fucking ears. You can deny that all you want. Think that you'll be able to get out of it any other way all you want. I can only explain the situation, what's going on, how it works, and, try to get people to have a heart, have a brains, courage, have those things. And sense. It needs to be sense to be able to look after your fucking self. And look after other people if you need to look after other people, ultimately. But it needs to be a lot of people. Again, everything starts small, And the hope is I'll tell you, the hope is that once you've got one thing set up, then obviously then the sheeple mentality will start. But obviously it takes brave people to come into the fold to start with. And by the time that takes place, it may be too late for a lot of people because they've not listened, not got ready, and not got their bodies fit and things like that. Because I keep going on about it. Ultimately, the best chance for everyone is to ensure that their body and brain are working to their best capabilities that you could possibly get your body and brain to work to. I've explained to everyone that your body and your brain have been targeted your entire existence, from baby to wherever you are in life now. Dumbed down, made weak. So sense would tell you that they've done that for a reason, and the most sensible way out of that is to get your body and brain working to your correct capabilities. That's everyone's best chance of survival. We live in a world of wackos that want people to do everything for them like babies. That's why they're in the situation they're in now, is because they thought other people were going to look after them. I'm not going to look after no one. I'm a disciplinarian, sort of. I'm here to help people's brains get better. But I'm not a shepherd. I'm looking for shepherds to a degree. That can help other people. I can only help clever people to then help other people. My job's too big. It's massive. If it gets to a stage like that. Whether it does or it doesn't is neither here nor there to me. Ultimately, I can only try my best, try to get the message out peacefully, deal with whatever situations happen as and when. I don't know the future. Anyone who tells you they know the future's fucking lying. You know? Like telling you that when you die you're going to go somewhere else. That's knowing the future. How can you know the future? If you know the future, there's no point to live the present, is there? No. You just got to learn from the present. Learn from the past. But mainly your own existence, because your own existence from now to where when you were born till now should tell you something different. Like if you don't understand you're a slave and owned and get oppressed in everything that you do and are thieved from by your bosses, by society, by everybody. And that the people in charge don't look after you.